extend the discussion on simple heat exchanger other than this double pipe heat exchanger. So when we start the design of heat exchangers, we started with the double pipe heat exchanger. Okay, we say that this is the simplest form of heat exchanger. Okay, so we gave so many reasons why it is the simplest one. Okay. So the components involved in double pipe heat exchanger are limited. Okay. So because we have we can add additional pipeline to extract the heat from the process fluid or to supply the heat to the process fluid. Okay, just like that, we can create a simple exchanger. Okay, by providing a jacket. So this double pipe.
So muted yourself.
Hello, sir. You are muted.
So am I audible now? Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Somebody made me muted. Okay. So in addition to this double pipe heat exchanger, we have one more heat exchanger that is very simplest in nature. Okay, that is stir tank vessels. Okay, so in this case, in process industries, chemical process industries, we have different type of objectives. Like we have to transfer the heat, or we have to carry out the chemical reaction, particular unit operations in the exchanger in a vessel, or we have to store the fluid. Okay, so these are all some objectives. So in these cases, what will happen if we would like to transfer the heat in the vessel? For example, the vessel is used to carry out a particular unit operation like or a chemical reaction. Then the reaction may be exothermic or endothermic in nature. So exothermic means the heat will be liberated from the reaction. Such a cases, to maintain the condition or the temperature conditions, we have to extract the heat whatever liberated during this operation or reaction. Okay, so we have to provide suitable cooling arrangements to bring down the temperature of the reactions. Or some cases, if it is endothermic in nature, then what we should do, we have to we have to supply the heat. Okay, so we have to provide suitable heating arrangements. Okay, so these heating arrangements or these cooling arrangements can be given in two different way. Okay, generally this may be a direct heating or indirect heating. Okay, so direct heating means normally we will go for electrical methods like resistance heating or induction heating. But this direct heating method, whenever you are using electrical heating, the major disadvantage is that the thermal efficiency is low, and also the operating cost will be in the higher side. Okay, so we have to go for indirect heating, that is majorly used. So here, when we go for indirect heating, we have two different arrangements. One is called jackets, another one is called coils. Okay, so these jackets and coils are used in the vessel to carry out or to maintain the temperature, or to extract the heat from the reaction, or to supply the heat to the reaction medium. Okay, or for the specified purpose, pre-treatment, those things. Okay, that's the idea. So how to select these jackets and coils? Okay, so coils means it's like pipe. So if you change the dimensions, so like circular pipes are made like coils. Okay, so in the momentum transfer lab, you might have studied two different type of arrangements: spiral coil and helical coil. Okay, spiral coil and helical coil. So we will provide these type of coil type arrangements in the exchanger. These coil types normally will be used inside the vessel. Okay, they will be submerged in the fluid medium, okay, or liquid medium. Okay. Jackets normally will be provided outside the vessel. Just you can add one more vessel, and by different type of attachment method, flange arrangement, using flange arrangement, or you can go for welding. Welding means it's permanent joints. Okay, so it comes under permanent joint. So you can weld the additional bigger one, additional vessel in the outside the vessel. Okay, so here normally when you go for when your objective is to supply the heat, we will use jackets, or when we want to remove the heat, then we will go for this coil type of arrangements. Okay, so the vessel design means again you have to calculate the volume. From the volume, you can select the shape of the vessel, like whether it's spherical or cylindrical. Most of the cases we will go for cylindrical, long cylindricals or cylindrical vessels. Okay, so here the rate of heat transfer is our objective. So the rate of heat transfer is a function of so many things, because we have the fluid inside the vessel. If it is jacketed, means the heating medium. Okay, so heating medium, as I said, we have different types of heating medium: hot water, saturated steam. Then you can go for hot oils. You can go like then thermic fluids. Okay, or you can go for molten salts, molten liquids. It goes like that. Okay, so physical property of the liquids, heating medium, cooling medium, or your process liquid. Okay, that's very important. Apart from that, the geometry factor, like vessel geometry. Okay, so diameter, height. Okay, then sometimes the spacing between the jacket and the vessel wall, that also important. Okay, then thickness of the material, because in double wave heat exchanger, when we calculate the overall heat transfer coefficient, in addition to this convective film resistance, we account the conductive resistance also. Okay, so the similar way, when to account this conductive resistance or the resistance offered by the vessel wall, that is also to be accounted to calculate the resistance or to the heat transfer. Okay, so here the material of construction and thickness of the vessel wall also important. Okay, sometimes degree of agitation. So degree of agitation, because why we know agitation also matter. Why it matters? So inside the vessel, the fluid will be a stagnant one, as it is. Okay. So to mix it properly, to have a uniform mixing and heat transfer rate. Okay, so the fluids should be circulated in different manner. So in momentum transfer and also in particulate science and technology, you might have studied about these things. So we have to produce high velocity streams in a vessel. Okay, that is possible only through providing suitable agitators, stirrers, those things. So these stir tanks or agitated vessels normally will provide high velocity liquid streams. Okay, so that because whenever you are using stirrer or agitator, what happens? The liquid is the energy is imparted to the liquid particles. Okay, so momentum transfer takes place. So the mixing is very good. So the vessel geometry plays very important. Sometimes what happen, the dead zones are decreasing, or stagnant zones you can say, or dead zones you can say, will decrease the efficiency of the system. Okay, So the geometry design is very important. Okay, so these things we will study in detail in reactors. Or I hope this much of information is enough to design still tanks or whatever tanks, agitated tanks or reaction vessel. Maybe. Okay. So you keep this in mind. So whenever we explore the design of a reaction vessel, storage vessel, those things. These points also you can include a design point of view. Okay. Normally, once you found the volume of the vessel, okay. So you if it is cylindrical means you can say the volume of the vessel is 5 by 4 d square h. Cross sectional area into h, that will give the volume. Okay, that is only cylindrical portion. So a vessel means normally it should have a body and a top. That's you can call it as technically you can call it as head, and bottom you can have. Okay, so cylindrical portion, top portion, bottom portion. Top is called head, bottom is a closer. Okay, so these here we have different types of heads and closers. Okay, so heads means it may be a flat head. Sometimes it may be a dished heads. So in dished heads we have different types like spherical head, hemispherical head, or you can say spherical head, okay, elliptical head. Different types of things are there. Okay, so flathead is normally used for very simple operations. Okay, so for high pressure conditions, if you select this type of heads, flat heads, the thickness of the head will be very high. Okay, so normally even in water tank, in overhead tank in our houses, we will use the flat heads. Correct? So that's a simple operation, very simple operation. But in the case of reaction process industries, we will go for different type of disc heads. Okay, so where you have because the body part is a cylindrical one. So if it is a disc part, means the flat head is converted into disc section. Okay, so you have to make a smooth bending, smooth surface, bending surface to withstand high pressures. That's the requirement. Okay, and so you have to take care of so many things like knuckle radius, ground radius, those things. So we will discuss those things in mechanical design of vessels. Okay, so you have to provide smooth convergence from this disc portion to the cylindrical portion. So there we will provide so the portion which connects this spherical portion and cylindrical portion. Okay, they are called torus section. So that is called torus spherical heads, you can say. So spherical portion and cylindrical portions are connected by there are, I can say, okay, so here you can see you can draw. So once you know the volume, that is V is equal to pi by 4 d square h. Okay, so this is the volume. So the vessel means you have, these are all important components of a vessel. Okay, so this is body portion, normally cylindrical. Here you have like this type of arrangement. For example, evaporator. Okay, so you have a conical bottom, then torus spherical head. This is hemispherical. So hemispherical means half of your sphere. Then this is torus spherical. Okay, elliptical means half of this. This is elliptical. Okay, so different type of things are there. A flat head means it will be like this. Okay, so here it's so here you have to connect this these portions. These are all called disc heads. Okay, so when you connect the disc heads with the cylindrical section, what happened? This is cylindrical portion. This disc. So here what will happen whenever there is change or cut in the flat seats? What happened? There is a tremendous change in shear distribution in the vessel wall. Okay, so the stress intensification is very much required because in sharp edges the disturbance of the stress will be more. Continuous is normally good. So here the disk is distributed uniformly. Okay, okay, but here it is not the case. Okay, so here you have to provide smooth transition, so that you have to provide this type of arrangements like this. So this is called torus section. This radius is called torus radius. Okay, so those things we will discuss later. So once you know the volume of the storage tanks or volume of the reactor vessel, okay, then you have to fix the two things, diameter and height. So here you have only one equation, but you have two unknowns, so you have to fix this diameter to height ratio. That is normally will be 0.5 to 1.5. Okay, so liquid depth to tank diameter, that ratio, or you can call it as filling ratio. Another terminology is called filling ratio. So this filling ratio normally will be defined as liquid depth to tank diameter will be 0.5 to 1.5. Normally we will take it as 1, which means H is equal to D. Okay, for liquid systems. So if you have mixing different things, so if you disperse the gas in the vessel in the liquid medium, okay, so the such cases what will happen, it has to be more than this value. Okay, so you can fix this filling. So this is like a heat transfer and agitated vessel. Okay, so we'll go to our objective. So you have vessel, you can see this is the inner vessel. So here this is your jacket. Okay, this is jacketed. So here you have agitation also, stirring purpose. We have provided the stirrers. Okay, so this is the mass, this is the temperature, this is the heat to be supplied from the jacket. So here the steam is allowed. This is mass of the steams at temperature and density. Okay, pressure condition. Okay. So once the heat is being transferred from the steam to the liquid medium in the vessel, what happened? The condensation will take place. So here you have to you have to provide the things. This is so that because due to you will get the liquid the condensate from the vapor that it has to be collected, so you have to provide the drainage. Okay, so you have to provide suitable arrangements to collect the drainage, and also you should have steam trap. So the drainage and steam traps are different. Okay, you all know that, because this steamy not only having a condensable thing, it may also have non-condensable gases. Okay, so the non-condensable gases increases over the period, so we have to remove them. So for that we have to provide this steam trap. Okay, then you have to collect the condensate, that is the separate. So this outlet normally used to collect the tank process tank inside the tank. Okay, this is the jacket arrangement. Okay, so this is the lid, as I said, different type of heads or spherical. This looks like. So this is the portion I said. This is cylindrical portion. This is spherical portion. So here you have to provide suitable transition from this. So what will happen? In general, if the column is operated uniform or lower pressure or atmospheric pressure, such cases we have to calculate the thickness of the vessel. Okay, so this is the thickness of the vessel and this head thickness. Okay, everything mostly normally we will keep uniform. Otherwise, sometimes what will happen? This thickness of the heads will be higher than this thickness of the cell wall. Okay, such a cases what will happen? If this is the wall, if this is your head, it may have bigger thickness. So you have to provide a smooth change in dimensions. So for this purpose, you need this torus section. Okay. So now this is the case. Okay. So the heat transfer in agitated tanks not only depends on this agitation and those things. Okay. So it depends on other so many factors. How the mixing is take place. What is the dimensions of the jackets and coils. Okay. So for indirect heating, normally preferred jacket and coil arrangements, using jackets and coil arrangements. So jackets normally used to supply the heat, coils normally used to remove the heat. Why? What's the reason? In jackets, you use the heat supplied by condensing vapor. As I said, jackets are used normally to supply heat. So heat supplied by condensing vapor, as I saw in the figure, earlier figure. Okay. So the heat is transferred to the liquid medium in the vessel through condensing vapors. Okay, so condensation takes place. Okay, so these cases for given heat transfer area, okay, we need more space for condensation. Normally, the density of this vapor will be very low when compared to the condensate. Okay, so the rho is equal to m by v, you know. So the mass flow rate of steam is known. So it occupies more volume for lower mass. That's the or you can say 1 by rho. That is, you can say specific volume. 1 by rho is equal to V by M, you can say. Or this can be specific volume. Specific volume is normally high for gases. Okay, so it occupies more. So, and also your condensate, normally once the vapor condensate, again this density of condensate is, for example, in the case of steam, this would be around 1.5. Okay, here you make condensate is almost water, it would be around 1000. So the ratio is very high. Okay, so we have to provide more space for condensation zone. Okay, and also we have to provide enough space for a better drainage. These are all the things why we have to provide jackets. If it is in the coils, the coils normally placed inside the vessel. So once you place the vessel, or if you supply the heating medium through coils, okay, then like steam, okay, or saturated vapor or superheated vapor, the diameter of the pipe or coil will be more. So again, your vessel diameter goes up. In turn, it reflects on your capital cost of the things. Okay. So coils means the majorly the heat transfer is by post convection. You can because if this is the helical coil, or you can say like this. Okay. So here you might have studied this Dean's effect in momentum transfer lab. Whenever you are doing experiments using spherical and helical coil, so there will be a secondary circulation flow, circulatory motion because of this curvature of your coils. Okay, so if the coil diameter is very big, okay, then if you like this, you take a particular section, it would be like almost linear. Okay, but here what happens when the liquid flows through the coils? So it's continuously exposed to circulatory motion. So sometimes this creates the secondary motion. That's why we have to account the secondary motion effects in pressure drop or heat transfer, those things. That's called Dean's effect. You might have studied in detail in momentum transfer or momentum transfer lab or particulate science and technology theory. Okay, so the coils of this post convection heat transfer is the major mechanism in coils. So the turbulence is simply created, but as not in jackets. Okay, so jackets means we have different type of jackets. This plain jackets. This A is plain jackets. Then B is channel type. The modification of these things. Your channel type jackets, or you can have tubes. Just you have to make tubes over the vessel wall. This is vessel wall. So this is the jacket. Okay. So this is like channel arrangement. Okay, it's like channel arrangement. This is like pipe arrangement. This modification of all these things. So if you want more velocity, you have to reduce the diameter, correct, cross-sectional area or flow area. Okay, that's why we are going for. This is tube with strip support. Here, this is directly connected with your wall, but here you are providing the support. Whenever your diameter of the pipe increases, okay, so the dead weight of the pipe wall increases. So we have to provide suitable support by providing this type of arrangements, stripping arrangements. So the strip arrangements should be provided to support your tubes. Okay. Or you can go for this half coils. Half coil means this is full coil. Okay, we have to cut the one portion, then you will get the top coil arrangement. Okay, so then overlapped cut coils. This is like another one. So again, the heat transfer surface area is more. These cases here also heat transfer takes place. Here also heat transfer takes place. Okay, that's the things. So normally high velocity circulating fluids we will go for this type. Then last one is called a dimple construction. So normally for very large columns or very large cylindrical vessels, you will go for this type of dimple construction arrangement. Okay. So because once you because this is continuous one, no. So if you provide this type of arrangements, what will happen? So because these jackets are attached with your wall, okay, so what happens here? The dead weight of the vessel increases, and you have to do the stress analysis at this point. Okay, so this leads to more thickness of the vessel specific portions. Okay, so if the thickness of the vessel increases, automatically your dead weight of the vessel increases, which means the material used for forming the vessel increases, capital cost increases. That's the idea. Okay, so to reduce the cell, we will go for this type of simple arrangement, dimple construction arrangement. Okay, so normally this dimple construction and plain type of jackets normally used for whenever we are using steam as the heating medium. That's the idea. Okay, this is about jackets, different type of jackets. Next, we can see the coils. Coils, as I said, these coils are normally used inside the vessel. Okay, so we are immersing them in the contents, liquid contents, whatever you can say. So this may be helical coil, spiral coil, or vertical tubes. So this is a very good example for a helical coil arrangement. Okay, so you have a helical coil arrangement. This is out, liquid out. So this is liquid in. It goes up and it is circulated like this. Okay, so here you have up to this you have liquid content. Okay, that is a helical coil arrangement. Then another one is spiral coils. Normally these type of spiral coil arrangements will be placed at the bottom of the vessel. Okay, so bottom of the vessel normally they will be horizontal, so it goes like this, then it circulates like this, then it goes out, or it may be reversed. Okay, so the another case is vertical tubes. Okay, so normally here if you introduce this, the liquid will flow direction will be like this. Okay, so here this case in jackets, when compared to jackets, here the coil type arrangements will provide more pumping cost. The operating cost will be more. Okay. So these things, when you compare this helical, spiral, vertical tubes, so the helical and spiral, the heat transfer mechanism mostly by post convection. So here the flow arrangement is like this, no? So the pressure drop will be more. This case up and down against gravity, the liquid is flowing. Okay. So here and also the residence time of the liquid will be more. So the heat transfer. Hello. Hello.
Sir, yes. Yes, sir.
Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, you're audible,
Oh.
sir.
Sorry. Okay. So we will go for this type of arrangement, coil type arrangements, helical coils, spiral coils, and vertical tubes. Okay. So another one is apart from that, in this type of stir tanks or agitated vessels, in addition to these jackets and coils, will provide these mechanical agitators. Okay, so why we have to provide? So on purpose is mixing, because it's a stagnant fluid, no, inside. So if we provide this agitator type arrangements, what will happen when it rotates? Okay, so this will increase the velocity of the stagnant fluid. Okay, so when velocity the energy transferred from the agitated stirrer, agitator or stirrer to the fluid. So this will successively transfer to the fluid molecules. Okay. So the momentum is transferred and mixing takes place. So you will get the uniform mixing. That's the main objective in this type of things. So we have to provide suitable mixing arrangements. Okay. And also this mixer, providing mixer or a stirrer, whatever you can say, agitator, the liquid. Sometimes what will happen if the viscous liquid is highly viscous, such a cases what will happen, even if you provide, if you want to create the velocity, high velocity streams, when the stirrer rotates, what will happen? This viscosity of the liquid, okay, it will give more resistance to this high velocity liquid. Okay, so it will retard and it will, the energy is not transferred properly to the successive molecules, okay, liquid molecules, and the mixing is stopped, so that you will get non-uniform mixing in the vessels. Okay, so even in reaction engineering, you might have studied this mixed flow reactor, plug flow reactor. What is the mixing? Okay, mixing characteristic. Those things you might have studied. Okay, so these stagnant zones or unmixing zone or non-uniform mixing or dead zones. This leads to decrease the performance of this. So for mixing purpose, we will use 7 different type of agitator arrangements like paddles, turbines, propellers, helical screws, cones, radial propellers, high speed discs. Okay, so these are all different types. So another classification of this type of mixer is like proximity, or you can say non-proximity system. No, it's not. It's not like it. It's non-proximity system agitator. Okay, so here the name itself implies that proximity means the agitator will be placed very close to the wall. Okay, non-proximity means we have some specific dimensions. For example, if you see paddle agitators, this one is called anchor type. This is the very simplest one. Okay. This diameter of our agitator normally 0.95 times of your diameter of the vessel. Okay, if you see, which means that if this is your vessel, okay, so your anchor type agitator is placed, like the diameter is 0.95 times of your diameter of the vessel. Okay, so another thing is that the viscosity range should be this 100 to 1000. So for high viscous systems, we have to go for this type of paddle agitated systems, because they will the peripheral speed, or you can say the rotational speed of rotation is very small in these cases. Okay, so the rotation is very slow. So just it will push the fluid. So we have high viscous fluids or high solid contents. Okay, so we will go for this type of agitations. Even if you say very large vessels or thickeners. In the process industries, the thickeners are normally called horizontal tanks, which means that the height, the diameter is more when compared to your height. So H by D ratio will be less than 1. Okay, if H by D equal to 1 means the height and diameters are equal. Okay, if H by D is more than 1, the vessels are like vertical vessels, you can say. The height will be more, diameter will be less. Distillation column, absorption column, these things are very good example for tall vessels or vertical vessels. Okay. Horizontal means your H by D, that is the diameter of the column is more when compared to the height. Okay. So for horizontal tanks, normally you will go for this type of agitations, or whenever you are handling the slurries or liquid with solid content, we will go for this paddle type. So this is the simplest one. Okay, so here you have different type of modifications. So gate type arrangement, B is gate type arrangements. Just like that, you are adding these arms. Okay, this will like girds. Okay, then gird with cross arms. So this is another arrangement like this. Okay, so these girds are modified like this. Then C, D is anchor with cross arms. This is anchor. So only you have these cross arms. Then combined anchor and gate. This combination of both anchor type and gate type is this third one. So these type of things are called Carnot type agitators, where they are very the outer portion of these agitators are very close to the wall, so they are called proximity agitators. Okay, or we can go for this type of turbine agitators. So in earlier case, these paddle agitators they will provide very poor circulation. Okay, just it will transfer the energy, and also since their peripheral speed is very low. Okay, so they will not transfer the mixing will normally will not be uniform. Okay, so to increase the to go for a better mixing, you will go for this type of things, or whenever the viscosity is low. Okay, you will go for this turbine agitators. In addition to the energy transfer, this energy is also transferred by this centrifugal and rotational motion of the liquids due to induction of this type of turbine agitators. Okay, here you have a straight flat tube. Okay, here you have a pitched blade. Mostly used these type of things. So this will give both radial flow and axial flow. So if this is your vessel, so because of these arrangements, what will happen? Radial flow is also possible, and also the axial flow mixing is also possible. If both are there, what will happen? The mixing will be better. So you will get a uniform concentration or uniform transfer. So for heat and better heat and mass transfer purpose, we will go for these type of things. Then curve back sloped arrangements. So this is curve back flow arrangements, modification of this. Okay, straight flat blade is modified like this. Instead of straight, we will go tightly fixed. Then this is your disc arrangement. Here you have blade. Straight blades are fixed over the disc. So if you see from the top, it would be like this. This is the top view. Okay. This is the top view. This is your elevation view. Okay, or you can say this is plan. This is your elevation. Okay. So these are all some other different type of turbine agitators. So turbine agitator, the peripheral speed will be normally 200 to 250 meters per minute. Okay, so you should know the difference between peripheral speed and RPM, rotations per minute. Rotations per minute means RPM, number of rotations per minute. Okay, that is speed of the stereo agitator, whatever mean. So in general, we have a different type of things. I can show one slide. Sorry for the inconvenience. Yeah. So if you see the typical dimensions, here you have a different type of propeller type of things. A is propeller, B is straight blade turbine, C is disc turbine, then D is concave blade impeller, whatever we have seen, is pitched blade turbines. Okay. So if this is your vessel, so if this is the diameter of the vessel, this is diameter of the vessel. That is the very first step in the design calculations. Then you have to fix. This is your baffle, okay, baffling system. So here you have agitator, or you can say this different type of propellers. Okay, so this is your shaft. Okay, so shaft this dA is diameter of the agitator. So this dA by dt is the tank. Normally will be 1/3. This is the typical dimensions, recommended one. Okay, so dA by dt will be 1/3. H by dt. So this is the height of the liquid, the diameter of the vessel, that is 1. Okay, so we saw that it's 0.5 to 1, or you can say 0.5 to 1.5 filling ratio. Okay, so that is 1. If you use gases, gas is induced in the liquid medium, then you have to increase the H by D to 2. Okay, so this is J by dt, where dt is the diameter of the tank. Okay, J is the thickness of the width of the baffle. Okay, that is 1 by 12. Normally it is 1 by 10 to 1 by 12. That's the diameter. So number of baffles normally 4 to 16. Okay, the range is 4 to 16. Generally we will go for 6 to 8. Okay, most of the cases we will use number of baffles 4. Okay, then E by dt, where E is the clearance between bottom of the cell to center of the propeller or agitator. Okay, so this is 1/3. Normally the standard is 1/3. Okay, so this W by dA, W is your width of the blade. Okay, this A is diameter of the agitator. That will be 1 by 5. Okay, this length is again referred with respect to diameter of the vessel. So everything, most of the things are referred with the diameter of the tank. If you see, that is diameter of the agitator, then height of the liquid. Okay, or you can say height of the liquid. Okay, and the width of the baffle. Okay, then you can say the clearance between the stirrer to wall. Okay, everything is referred based on dt. So what is W? W is width of the agitator. That is referred with respect to diameter of the agitator. So these two are different. Just you please see. Other things are referred with respect to diameter of the tank. So which would be a 1/5 of your diameter of the agitator. The length should be a 1/4 of diameter of the agitator. Okay, this is the standard dimensions. Okay. So here, and apart from that, the angle. Sometimes you may keep, you will not keep this blade straight, so you can keep them in different angles whenever you are going for high viscous fluids. So the angle should be 30 to 60 degrees centigrade. Okay. So the number of agitators normally calculated using this expression. That is maximum liquid. This is your agitators. For example, this turbine agitator. If this is your vessel, okay, so here you can provide, here also you can provide, here also you can provide. So this number of agitators 1, 2, 3, no. So how will you arrive that? That is arrived by maximum liquid height by tank diameter into average specific gravity of the fluid. That's the thumb rule normally used to calculate the number of agitators. Maximum liquid height. If this is liquid height H, so if this is the tank diameter, so if H by D is 1, okay, then it has to be multiplied by specific gravity. Water 1. So you require only one agitator. Okay, for higher density fluids, it will increase. Okay, so the distance between agitators normally 1 to 1.5 meters. Okay, so this would be 1 to 1.5 meters. And location of agitator, most of the time we will place it centrally. Okay, the height not less than one agitator diameter, or your H by D is 1. Okay, so length diameter, the length from the bottom submerged liquid is liquid by depth equal to 2 times of agitator dia. The height not less than one agitator diameter length from the bottom submergence, from the bottom, sorry. The location of agitator is height not less than one agitator diameter length from the bottom. So that I think it's not like that. It is 1 by 3. Okay, generally it should be 1 by 3. Okay, that is location of agitator, that standard. So otherwise you can place it. So submergence of liquid by depth equal to 2 times of agitator diameter. At low speeds, you have to use 2 times of agitator diameter. Okay, this submergence in liquid is liquid by depth. Okay, that is really 2 times of agitator diameter at low speeds. For high speeds, it is 4 times of agitator. Okay, agitator dia. Sorry. Okay, so this is the way to position your turbine agitator. Okay, so then third one is propeller agitator. Is very simple. Okay, so this type of things can be placed centrally. Centrally means if this is the vessel, it can be fixed. Then off centered means it can be fixed like this also. If this is your center, this can be placed here also. Okay, or it can be placed by like angle. This is another way to place. So it can be placed like centrally, off center, or angle to the tank. Okay, so the diameter is normally 1.5 to 0.3 times of diameter of the vessel that we have seen. 1 by 3 means 0.33 times of diameter of the vessel. The peripheral speed will be 300 to 500 meters per minute. Okay, so this type of propeller type agitator normally used for small tanks. Okay, then this helical screw is another arrangement. So for high viscous liquids, we will go for this type of helical arrangements. Okay, so here both the things are possible. Based on the rotation, the liquid is driven from top to bottom or bottom to top. Okay. Then cone type arrangements. So whenever we handling for fibrous and dense slurries, this type of cone type agitators are being used. Okay. So this is similar to turbines, whatever we have seen. Okay. Here, how the flow is generated? It is between the periphery of the narrow and wide roads, here and here. Because of this, the flow is generated. Okay. Then a radial propeller. So we have a blade at the end of the arm. Okay. The height, width, angle of pitch, okay, angle and number of blades, okay, everything is decides how much turbulence is created. Based on the requirements, we will go for this type of propeller arrangement. The last one is high-speed disc agitator. Here you can use plant disc or you can use the corrugated type arrangements also. That is another way. Okay, like this also you can. So when it rotates, what will happen? It provides sufficient centrifugal force. Okay. So because of this, what will happen? The shearing of this takes place. Shearing of the material takes place. Then these are all these type of agitated systems normally prepared for low density fibrous solids. Okay. So what is how we can design the heat exchanger or this stir tank heat tanks can be designed for heat transfer purpose. Okay. So as I said, we have two different major classification. One is non-proximity agitators, another one is proximity agitators. Okay. So this non-proximity agitator means these are all non-proximity agitators. This is a disc agitator, then cone type, then propeller agitator, then turbine agitator. These are very good examples for non-proximity agitators. Okay. So most of the correlations are proposed in this type of format. That is, your Nusselt number is equal to function of Reynolds number, Prandtl number, viscosity correction factor, as like your steady-state equation. In addition to that, these geometric expressions are also included. Okay, because when you use jackets or coils or this type of impellers, the complexity increases. Okay, so everything plays major role in heat transfer. Impeller diameter, blade width, number of blades, blade angle, then jacket height. Okay, so then how the heat is transferred? Heat transfer from jacket ball with coils, without coils, with the baffles, without baffles. So many different combinations are possible in these cases. Okay, when you use non-proximity agitators. Okay, so the correlations are also developed. We have so many correlations for these cases. Okay, everything is expressed in terms of geometrical expressions wherever we use. So there is no generalized correlations. Okay, or very few correlations are not available for these cases. So case to case, it will vary. Okay, if you go for this type of high-speed disc agitator, then correlation will be different. If you use cone type, then again the dimensions of the system varies completely. If it is radial propeller, again everything is different. So your estimation of heat transfer coefficient is different in these cases. Okay. The other one is heat transfer with proximity agitator. Whatever we have seen, that is anchor type. Okay, the anchor gate type, combination of these things. Then gate with cross arms. Okay, fixed cross arms. So many things. Okay. So these cases we don't have any baffles because this diameter of this gate and anchor type will occupy most of the space in the vessel. Okay, so it's the baffle arrangement is not required. But these cases, non-proximity agitators. So once you introduce a stirrer, so these are all your baffles. Okay. Okay. So this here the baffles are not available in proximity agitators. Okay, so the number of dimensions also coming down. Only we have to take care of dimensions of these things. Okay, so the equations are less. Okay, and also the major things that dominates stir tanks with the proximity agitators are the viscosity, then speed, rotational speed. Because high viscous means automatically we will go for low rotational speed. Otherwise, the power requirements will be more. Okay. Then possibility of a laminar flow regime is also possible, because both in coil types, obviously we can say whenever you increase the liquid velocity, so the turbulence is possible. Okay, most of the times you will experience these turbulent regimes. But in these cases, we will get a laminar, turbulent, transition, everything is possible. Possibility of laminar flow regime is also there in this proximity agitator. So we have, so for proximity agitators like helical ribbon type impeller, the correlations will be like this. Okay, so for laminar flow you have to have separate equation. For turbulent flow you should have different equation. But the equations are similar to your seeded data Dittus-Boelter equation. 4.2 Reynolds number power 1 by 3, Prandtl number power 1 by 3. So the combined, if you combine these things, you will get the Peclet number power 1 by 3. Then viscosity correction factor. So if the Reynolds number is greater than 100, so these cases in the jacketed walls, if the Reynolds number goes greater than 1000, you can say they are turbulent regime. Okay, so whenever if you plot this Reynolds number versus delta P, okay, what will happen? You will get you will not get this linear equation. So you will get these type of equations. So what will happen? So you have to linearize the portions. Okay, then these things will give the transition point. So up to this follows one linearity. After this follows some other linearity. The slope of these lines are different. Okay, so you can easily find out these transition points up to which Reynolds number it follows laminar. Then what is the bottom range for your turbulent? Those things you can easily identify. Okay, so this will provide this portion will provide the transition. Okay, for 5 flow you can say up to 2000 laminar, 2100 laminar. Then for turbulent above 4000 it's turbulent, we are saying Reynolds number range. Okay, so these things by experimentally you can find out. Okay, I think momentum transfer flow through pipe you might have done this type of calculations. Okay, or you might have taken blindly 2100 as a higher range of Reynolds number for laminar, and 4000 is the lower range value for turbulent. Okay. So the equation will be like this for jacketed ball. Okay, this is the important for jacketed ball acting with helical ribbon type impeller. This is the equation. So the Reynolds number, the applicability of these correlations are limited to this Reynolds number. Okay. So if the Reynolds number goes greater than 1000, you have to use this equation. Similarly, for Angan type agitator, this is the equation. So we have many correlations to calculate the heat transfer. Okay. So how we can design these stir tanks? That's the idea. That's the case. Okay. So we know the amount of heat transfer, or for what purpose they are operating the stir tank, or whether it's a chemical reaction or storing the fluid. Okay. So these things will, these are all the objective of the stir tank. Okay. So what we should do? First we should do select the agitator geometry. Then we have to select the tank and jackets. Okay. So this agitator geometry normally selected based on the viscosity and Reynolds number. Okay. So agitator geometry, once you select the agitator, okay, so you can calculate the Reynolds number. What is the Reynolds number for agitator system? For liquid system flow through pipe, you can say it's dV rho by mu. Okay, so here you can say this is what is the Reynolds number for this case? This is meter, is meter per second, correct? Then you can say kg per meter cube by mu is kg per meter second. Okay, so what you will say, d square n rho by mu. Okay, because n is 1 by second, so this is meter square. So this D into V will provide D square n. Okay. So agitator geometry and this Reynolds number will decide the type of agitator, whether you have to go for proximity agitator or non-proximity agitator. Okay. Then you have to select the tank and jackets based on the power requirement, how much fluid you are handling, that will decide the power. Okay. Then you have to select the internals, okay, type of agitator and how much power is required, those things. Then you have to calculate the agitator size and power requirement. So these things will you might have studied in momentum transfer or PhD, particulate science and technology. Okay. Then you have to calculate the heat transfer area. So this is mechanical. This is the general design procedure of this stirred tanks. How you can modify this for your heat transfer purpose? The same procedure. First you have to decide the geometry. Okay, so because heat load is known, flow rate is known. Okay, if it is batch or continuous, you have to decide. Okay, so again batch or continuous means the story is different. Okay, so once you decide the geometry, then you can calculate the heat transfer coefficient. Okay, then other side heat transfer coefficient also you can calculate tank side. Okay, then all the resistance has to be calculated. You can calculate the overall heat transfer coefficient. So once you know the overall heat transfer coefficient U, here you can use this Kern method, or you can go for this NTU epsilon method also. Okay. So NTU normally will be calculated using the equation, that is NTU is equal to UA by MCP. Okay. So once you know the U on the heat transfer surface area A, you can calculate the NTU. So once you know the NTU, then you can calculate the P value. So you might have studied what is P and what is R. Okay, R is the effectiveness, P is the capacity ratio. Okay, sorry, P is the effectiveness, R is the capacity ratio, R and S. You may say R and S, or P and R. Okay, some definitions are there. Okay, so using P, you can calculate. Once you know the P, you can calculate the heat duty. Okay, or using this value of P, you can check whether it meets out the required heat duty. Okay, required heat duty can be checked with the value of P. So once you know the P, you can calculate the outlet temperatures. So the outlet temperatures, you can compare the outlet temperature for the requirement and also the calculated values. Okay, so then you can say whether the exchanger or the stirred tanks meet out the requirements. Otherwise, again you have to tune the parameters and you have to. Once
Sir, sir,
yes,
sir, it's
yeah,
11:30, sir.
yeah, I'm going to stop at this point. Okay,
Okay, sir.
last point. Okay. So once thermal design is over, you can calculate the pressure drop. Okay. So again, I will touch upon these things in next class. Okay, sorry to rush up. Go for design of heat exchangers, selective heat exchangers next class. Okay. So today we have seen the design of stirred tanks. What are all the important factors that is to be considered? Okay, the simplest form. So you have to know the jacket, coils, and different type of agitators. How to select, on what basis you have to select, those things we have discussed. Okay. So once it is being done, you can do the design of agitated tanks for batch system and continuous system. Thank you. Thank you all. Yeah. You can leave.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Sir, can you stop the recording, sir?
Yeah, please.
Okay, sir. And please end the meet, sir. Thank you, sir.